Hey, it's Tori, and welcome back to my channel. Today we welcome Chrigel from Eluveitie to the channel. How are you doing today?
Hello. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I mean,
Thank you.
I really have to say I've been looking forward a lot to that one
Oh,
because
really?
I really love your channel a lot.
That means so much coming from an artist like yourself. I was so bummed out that that you weren't able to make the last, North American tour because I did attend that
Yeah,
one. But, family and those sort of priorities always come first. So we totally understand it as fans. And we also got to, experience Fabi with Adrian, those two together on stage. Amazing. But
I can
hopefully
imagine.
soon I will get to see you doing your thing on stage too.
Yeah, we're working on it.
That's good to hear. So, of course, you're here to talk about your brand new album, Anew, correct?
Mm.
Right. I I know I butchered it in one of my reactions. I think I called it Anv, and then my friend reached out. He's like, "No, it's Anew. This is how you pronounce it." I was like, "Oh, thank you so much for that." Of course,
It's
it's
not. Yeah, it's not that it really matters. So
no. Well, I mean, it kind of does. You got to get these things correct. And a new comes out on April 25th via Nuclear Blast Records. You've already had a couple of singles out so far. How have you found that general response from your fan base, or even possibly from people who are just now finding Eluveitie through this release?
Hmm. If I'm honest, overwhelming.
Yeah.
Really, it's been such a long time since we released our last album, and yeah, and also this one there was uh, everything was somewhat chaotic. I mean, we've started working or even basically finished the ground, the foundation of the album concept back in summer 2019. So that's quite a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
And just a lot of things kept on happening, starting off with Corona and all that, and then my private situation and so on. That there was just so many things going on, like kind of, you know, making just everything different and you know also kind of keeping us from doing what we normally do and what we were supposed to do, and so like without even noticing 5 years are gone or more, and so it's been such a long time, yeah, to be honest, I have been a somewhat, yeah, not nervous, but you know it's after so many years, you don't know what's going on. You don't know if people still know you, if people like the new stuff, whatever. You just don't know anything. And so yeah, I was really curious, and so far I also was, or we, all of us, we were like really overwhelmed and thankful, of course, also with the reactions to the album and or to the first two singles.
Yeah, no, they've been really great. When I found out you were announcing new music, I was like, yes, I'm so excited. I can't wait. Because honestly, your band is one of the bands that I did find through my channel, and then coming along on this journey now with you all, it's just been really fun to see. And like you say, 5 years already have passed since COVID, and it's just flown by. It doesn't feel like 5 years.
No.
It's really crazy. So, could you tell us in your own words what the album is about and what it represents for you personally?
Yeah, we might run out of time, but
That's okay.
no, no, in a way, musically as well, but also lyrically, conceptually, it's kind of a natural development after Atignatus, our previous album. And I mean, Atignatus was deeply diving into mythological or spiritual, let's even say spiritual aspects of Celtic culture, or generally pre-Christian ancient cultures.
Hmm.
They've been so similar, like names have been different, and things have been different, but the concepts they were built on, and they were expressing, they're so similar. So, but yeah, Atignatus was deeply diving into that, focusing on the images all around death and rebirth and all that. And when writing that album, it wasn't only like diving into these topics to kind of get the lyrics for the album or something like that. It was actually us as private individuals, like diving into these topics for ourselves, for our personal interest and development, and also to like ways life goes and stuff. Of we all do have questions and we all dig somewhere, and so and yeah, Anu's kind of was like a yeah, kind of development from that and from that point. And um yeah, so it's strongly also reflecting some personal developments as well.
Hmm.
But in a nutshell, I would say it's all based on an ancient text. It's been around like several thousand years actually, and it was called a lament. So it's at the end of the day, it's kind of a song. But if you read through it, it is more the character of prophecy or something like that. And uh, yeah, it's hard to put that in a nutshell. It probably covers like the Celtic eschatology, you would say, the teaching of the end to the world. But again, as I said before, like most of the ancient pre-Christian cultures were pretty similar anyway, and none of them literally taught an end to the world as we kind of know it today. Um, but was rather speaking of cycles, of eternal cycles of
Hmm.
you know death and renewal and rebirth and all that. And what's interesting and what's also a challenging aspect in that very text the album is based on is that on one hand, our rather ambivalent relationship with what we humans usually call nature,
Hmm.
that relationship between the two of us is a very, very focused topic in that ancient text or prophecy. And there are some pretty challenging thoughts in it, and also some pretty challenging descriptions of mankind's development, and challenging, especially for that reason, if you keep in mind that the text has been written a few thousand years ago, because there are things stated in that we see happening today, which is
Hmm.
kind of mind blowing or also scary, some depending on how you look at it. That's one thing that is a strong focus in this text, and so obviously it also is on the album, and thus also where the album title comes from. In our culture, Anu is the mother goddess. She's the mother to all gods and goddesses, and basically represents our planets, our home, Mother Earth, Mother Nature. And yeah, so that's in a nutshell what the album is based on, and also what Anu means. It's
Hmm.
the name of the mother goddess.
Yeah, you just answered my next question, which was what
Oh,
inspired the title of the album. But it is crazy how the Earth and through history there are these cycles, and how we match up so well to things that have been written thousands of years ago, and it's happening today as well. And that I feel like a lot of people today tend to take for granted the nature aspect of the world, whereas me personally, I need that. I need to take it in and to soak it in, even if I just step out into my back garden and just sit in the sun and in the weather, for 5 to 10 minutes. And I think it's a great thing to bring to the forefront as well for an album. It's a great topic.
cool. Yeah, that was also our thought when we came across that ancient text. It was like immediately, okay, that's what we are going to write an album about.
Yeah.
That's worth writing an album, worth writing songs about.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. And that's why I also fell in love with you guys as well, because you also bring those ancient excuse me, those ancient like texts and civilizations and spirituality and all of that to the forefront, and to then fans that are listening to your music can also go and discover that sort of thing for themselves as well, if that's what interests them.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, whoever likes to do so, of course.
Yeah. So, what did the creative process look like for you guys as a band when it comes to songwriting or just composing, like the music and the lyrics and things like that?
Mm. Like really hard to say. I mean, it's really different from album to album and from song to song. And there's, I think there's two terms that describe it the best. One is chaotic, and the other one is organic. Our albums and our songs just like kind of grow organically, I would say, among all of us. They just grow. And I also like when in the studio and recording a new album, we always leave quite a lot open to just happen in the
Mm-hmm.
studio spontaneously. And sometimes I just get the feeling like the songs are a little bit like kids, you know, the older, the more they grow, the older they get, the more they develop their own will and choose their own directions they're going, and so on and so on. So and yeah, but one thing that's always the same is like this concept thing. The first thing I ever do when we decide, okay, we start working on a new album, is to find like this core theme or topic the album will deal with. And once that is found, um, I need like a picture of the final product. I call it product, uh, but you know, like the final thing in its entirety in front of my inner eye. So before we even start composing the particular songs, I kind of need to know how many songs and what kind of songs and in what order and what the artwork could look like, and all these things like all together. I want to get at least a rough idea of everything before we start working on it. And on one hand, that might be a little weird, um, and yeah, it truly has its weird thing about it or to it. But it's also about, you know, taking the lyrics serious,
Mm-hmm.
because uh, what's never happening in our camp is that we just randomly just compose songs and then at some point add random lyrics to it. But it's the other way around, actually. Even if a certain song text is not written per se, before we start composing the music, we still already know what the song is about lyrically. And yeah, because we really also want to musically express what the lyrics are about. So in that sense, that approach kind of makes sense, and it just, yeah, it's just important to us.
Yeah. No, I honestly, I feel that with listening to your band, is that the
Cool.
lyrical content is extremely important, and to also connect with that. And I also think it's kind of freeing not to be too strict on yourself when it comes to doing like the instrumentation side of things, because it's something may come along as you're playing and you're like, well, maybe I should try this and do this. And I like that. I think it's a good way to go about it.
Mhm.
um, what do you feel it's important to take into consideration when writing these songs and doing your album, how they then go ahead and sound in a live setting? Because your live shows, honestly, it's like watching a true performance, like theater, like metal theater, if you will.
uh, no, honestly, that's not something we think about much, because you know, like it's kind of handmade stuff anyway, or music. And if we play it in the studio or if we play it on the stage, it doesn't make that much of a difference to us. So the main thing is, once we finish the songs and recorded them in the studio, we just can't wait to finally go on stage and play them live.
Yeah.
It's more that way.
Yeah. One, I think also if you're thinking about too many things at the same time, it's just gonna spoil the experience as well, I think.
Maybe, yeah, maybe, and maybe it's also laziness or just not
Maybe.
making your own life more complicated than it already is anyway. So
Yeah. How would you personally describe Eluveities like musical landscape?
close your eyes in his Mona. No, but pretty much actually something like that. I'd say we want to create music that just takes you by the hand and invites you to actually close your eyes and let it portray landscapes and stories in front of your inner eye, no matter what stories you might need or want to in that very moment. The music is adjustable and flexible if, in terms of that, but yeah, I think our music comes with that invitation. Close your eyes and let the music tell you a story.
Yeah. And that's what I do. I love when music just takes over and it just becomes the whole part of your being. A fun fact about me though is I have something called Avantasia where I don't have an inner eye, so I don't have like imagination in my brain. It's just dark in there. So music for me it just really covers that darkness, if that makes sense.
Okay, that's
It's
incredible.
weird.
No, it's fascinating.
Yeah, it's
So
fascinating how different minds work and
mm,
like the intensity level as well. Like some people are very creative and can imagine full on movies, if you will, whereas for me it's just dark in there.
okay.
Yeah. It's strange, but that's why like my YouTube channel and doing this sort of thing for me is really important because it really helps cover that. So just being able to sit here and chat with you today and chat with different artists about how
Mm.
they go about things creatively is really fascinating because I obviously don't experience it in the same way as somebody who has an inner eye would.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I totally get that. It is fascinating indeed. It's just like it's incredible how wide the range of our human, let's say, perception or whatever that is actually is.
Yeah.
It's incredible, unbelievable.
Yeah. It's like people who don't have an inner monologue either. Like they don't have that inner voice talking to themselves. I learned that too.
Mm.
So where do you
Yeah,
yourself
sorry, I just try to imagine how that would be for a moment because I definitely do have that inner voice. So,
me too. Me too. And I feel like because I don't have the inner eye, I feel like mine's just like more so overactive than somebody who probably does have an inner eye.
mhm.
So yeah, it's really fascinating to think about all of these different levels of the human brain and the human mind and how everybody's so individually different.
Yeah, that's insane, fascinating.
So where do you yourself draw your inspiration from?
Hmm. Honestly, I have no idea. Not anymore. I mean, 15 years ago, I would have answered that question with, the beautiful landscapes and mountains and all that. But it's been so many years that you know, life's kind of gotten pretty wild at some stages. And it's such a long time since I actually had the opportunities to go and immerse myself in beautiful landscapes and stuff like that. So meanwhile, it, it's never gone. Inspiration never kind of said goodbye. I'm
Mm-hmm.
off now. It never did that. It just but it just jumps on me whenever and wherever in the most unlikely moments and places sometimes. So I don't really know what to say, but I don't really care as long as it's still there. So
Yeah.
I think I just should be silent and thankful.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. And I think, you know, you can't force that either. It
Mm.
like you say, it's just an organic thing that happens to come at those. Sometimes when you're sleeping and you wake up and you're like, oh, I just thought of this and I gotta jot it down, or you're just in the middle of something and you think of something, and again tying back to the human mind and brain and just how it works.
Yeah, pretty much.
So you guys just wrapped up your a new Rising 2025 tour. How was that for you and the band? And also, how do you yourself keep your voice, but also yourself healthy during a tour?
Uh, Sorry. To answer your first question, the tour has been wonderful. Uh, yeah, it's just been yeah, just like really really smooth. And actually, everybody said that, and
Yeah.
everybody from all the bands, it was just uh, almost as smooth. It was almost boring. I mean, but there was nothing. There was no accident. There was no low ticket sales show. There was no bad wipes. There was just nothing. There was just like no issues. It was just a very very smooth tour with you know free bands that got along really well, including their crews, and yeah, it was just like really smooth and nice. We all enjoyed it a lot actually.
Good.
And apart from that, yeah, it was yeah amazing to finally get started again after like way too much time. We can't wait to finally properly do what we are actually doing. So yeah. And what was your the health thing?
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean that surely was different years ago, but today we are maybe one of the most on the rock and roll bands around. I mean, we all go to bed early on tour. We all get up quite early and, do our oatmeals and self-made smoothie kind of whatever healthy things. And some do yoga, others go work out and what the hell ever. And then we start working and we all eat healthy and so on and so on. So yeah, I think health is just a big topic in our ranks anyway. I mean,
Hmm.
not even so much only because of the touring, but just because I mean it is an important topic after all, and it's something that we're all like really interested in and dealing with just as private as personal individuals. And yeah, and I think even like especially on tour, it's kind of even growing stronger, that whole mindset thing, because we all are together. And
Right.
like if you're together, you tend to inspire each others and make the other one try something new out that you're doing and he or she didn't know before, and so on and so on. So yeah.
Well, and I think the older we get and the more we mature, we realize that we don't need to be doing all of this drinking and going out and staying up all hours of the night. A good night's sleep is like the most important thing.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on that. Like I need my sleep. I am one of those people that I'm in bed by like 9 o'clock most nights just because, I like my bed. So what are your rest of year plans that you can tell us about?
For now, I mean, obviously we're busy with release related things. We're also still working on some more video material and other things to be released around the album, which I'm looking forward to very much. And apart from that, we're just working on our touring plans for the next 2 years, and bit by bit, that's going to be published by now. And yeah, being on the road, that will keep us busy for quite a while now,
Yeah.
and we're looking forward to that a lot.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing you in person at some point, whenever that will be. Do you have any last words for anybody watching this interview of thanks or just anything like that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course, it remains to say thank you very much for having me, and obviously thank you very, very much for to everybody who is interested in Eluveitie and watched that video. Thank you,
No,
and see you
thank
soon on the.
Thank you so much, Chrigel, for being here and for taking your time to chat with me today. Of course, I will leave all of the pre-order, well, I will leave the pre-order link for the album down below in the description, along with all of Eluveitie's information, so you can go ahead and support them that way. Again, Chrigel, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank you so much. Have a
Bye,
wonderful day.
guys. You too.
Take care.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to become a Taurian. Speaking of becoming a Taurian, all of my social media links and my Discord link are down below in the description. We'd absolutely love to have you come hang out in the Discord community, and I will see you guys in the next video. Rock on.